Hi everyone, I'm Jodi and welcome to my channel. I'm really glad that you're here today. And if you have clicked on this video because of the thumbnail, you must be interested in knowing more about lip blushing. And I was as well about a year ago. So I decided to film and document this process and take you guys along with me just to educate you on what it is, if it hurts or not. It hurts, but just for a little bit. What the costs can be and how to find the right person to do your semi-permanent lip blushing. So if you're ready to get into all the details, then you've come to the right place. I am going to share with you some before and after pictures so that you can really see what to expect in case this is something that you're interested in. So if you are ready, let's get into it. So first and foremost, what is lip blushing? It's a semi-permanent tattoo on your lips that lasts about 2 to 3 years. Now the duration of how long it lasts can be impacted by a couple factors. One is how long and how often your lips are in the sun. How long they last can also be dependent on if you are a smoker and what color pigment you use, because some pigments can last longer and some pigments last a shorter amount of time. And those pigments are sort of decided upon between you and the professional doing it so that you can get the color really that you're looking for. Now again, these are 2 to 3 years on your lips, so you want to make sure that you find a qualified permanent and semi-permanent tattoo artist. Typically that is not going to be your normal tattoo artist. It's going to either be an esthetician or a permanent makeup professional who has trained specifically for permanent cosmetics. So make sure you do your homework. I was fortunate enough to do, through this research, I found a company called PD Beauty in Kirkland, Washington, and the owner is phenomenal. She did a great job. I sat down with her for a consultation, looked at some before and after pictures, and she's a master trainer when it comes to semi-permanent and permanent cosmetic tattooing, so I felt very comfortable in her hands. Now the average cost of lip blushing really varies depending on where you live, but you can expect it to be anywhere from $800 to about $2,000. In that price, you should get a consultation. You should also get a first appointment and a second appointment. And I'm going to walk you through what happens at each of those appointments and why they're really important that you don't miss that second appointment. And you might have the question, is lip blushing right for you? That's a really good question for you and a professional in that space to have a discussion about and see if you're a good candidate. For me, my lips just continued to become more and more transparent. They were just getting more and more invisible, which was making my whole face look more light and almost less alive. I was just not having much color. And I never had big, beautiful, voluminous lips, but I did have some color to them, and that was really what I was hoping to achieve with lip blushing. Now, lip blushing today is not your grandma's permanent makeup that perhaps you have seen pictures of from the past and thought maybe that isn't right for me. At least that's what I thought. But lip blushing, it's different. It's a more transparent, but not blotchy, but a little bit more natural, a little bit more glowy, I think, and not a solid color, which is what makes it more appealing and more natural looking. Additionally, it only lasts 2 to 3 years, which I love because if you've seen tattoos over time, they tend to fade, and having something on your face fade years and years down the road that you can't do anything about would be not something I would sign up for. So the fact that it fades but not much in that 2 to 3 year time, I thought was great. Now the other thing to know is that lip blushing does not make your lips fuller. When we use a lip liner and outline our lips and sometimes cheat a little bit to make them larger, you can't do that with a semi-permanent lip liner or lip cosmetic because it's a different skin between your skin and your lips. So just know that while they will look fuller as soon as you leave your first appointment and your second appointment because they're swollen and they're really red, that will go away once the swelling goes down. And so this isn't something it's not filler, so you're not going to have more fuller lips, but you will have more color to the lips. So that's something to know. Even knowing that, I was still anxious to get this process started. So about a week out before your first appointment, your pre-process is to really make sure that your lips are very hydrated. I used Aquaphor morning and night. You can also use Vaseline if that's what you have. Drink lots of water and make sure that your lips are exfoliated really nicely before you go in for your appointment. Now here I am going into my appointment and you can see just how transparent and light colored my lips are. And then we spent about 30 minutes where she really outlined my lips and drew exactly where my lips were so that I could get an idea of how my lips used to look and what this would look like once I added some color to them. You really want to find somebody that takes time during this process because even though it's temporary, it's ink and it will stay. So you want to make sure that you have a good discussion about the lines, where they're going, and what color. So let's talk about the color. I'm assuming every professional does this part a little bit different, but what you should expect is to clearly communicate the color that you are looking for as your end result. I would suggest that you bring in different pictures, maybe bring in some of your favorite lipsticks so that you can show exactly what color you are looking for so that the two of you agree and you are confident that that professional understands the color that you want, and then you guys are ready to move forward. Now here's what the process feels like, you guys. As they go over your lips for the first pass, there is a numbing element to the material that they're putting in your lips. So the first pass is painful. I'm not even gonna kid you, it is painful, and I have a pretty high tolerance to pain. The second pass, you don't feel nearly as much, and by the third pass, just right here in the corners is what I really felt. Once the bottom part is done, and you can see she's going just a little bit at a time, and then moving the tissues and going a little bit at a time and moving the tissues. And I loved watching her do this because it was showing me that she's using the tissues sort of as her grid lines to ensure that she doesn't skip any areas and doesn't go over double in some areas, giving a deeper or darker color of the pigment. Now what you're seeing on my face is not blood, don't worry, that is just the pigment, that's the color that she is putting on. And then they go and do the top part, and again that is about 3 passes, and the first one's pretty uncomfortable. Now here's where I was scared and thought, oh my gosh, what have I done? This is what my lips look like the minute we were done, and I was freaking out because I did not want lips that dark. I would never sign on for something that bright, and I was having a full-on, oh my gosh, what the heck did I do moment. And she was so kind, and she said, Jodi, it's gonna look darker. Your lips will go through a process of over the next 7 days, but let me walk you through the healing process. This is what they look like the next day, and here's day 2, and here's day 3. Now by about day 4, I was starting to peel, which I expected. She had told me to expect that. And then you'll peel off, and it will look like what's peeling is color. And in essence it is, but it's still leaving a good pigmented color behind. After about 2 weeks, here I am, and you can see that I'm left with a much softer color than what it looked like after the procedure. And I was happy with this color, but I felt like it was a little bit more warm than I had wanted. It wasn't orange, but I felt like, oh gosh, that's just not the color I had wanted. But I reached out to her and she said, no worries, when you come back in, we will offset that color and we'll get it exactly what you want. So here's my lips about a month after the procedure, and I'm fairly happy with them. So I went in for that first appointment on January 23rd, and then my second and very important follow-up appointment was on March 20th, and here's what my lips look like going into that appointment. Now, as I stated, I was happy with the color, but I would have liked a little bit more of a light fleshy pink and not so much of an orangey type peach, which she was able to correct through this second process. Now you guys, I can't stress enough that that second appointment is not a follow-up per se. It is as important as your first appointment. So whatever you do, don't skip that second appointment. And here's what my lips look like the second day after that second appointment. Not quite as bright, but because I had just been through it 2 months before, I was not at all worried about what was gonna happen. I was very prepared. Now, after that second appointment, my lips didn't peel as much as they did after the first one. And after about 7 to 10 days, my lips had stopped peeling and they looked fine. And that brings us to where I am right now, which is about 3 weeks past that second and final appointment. I don't have any lipstick on today. This is just Aquaphor to keep my lips shiny and somewhat hydrated, and I couldn't be more happy with the results. When I wake up in the morning, you guys, and I have just a little bit of color, it's not so bright with no makeup that you're like, oh gosh, it's just fine. It's a nice natural look. I feel as though my lips are back to what they were when I was in my 20s and 30s. minus the volume that I've lost, but that's not this video. So I have enjoyed the process. I'm curious to see how it fades over the course of the next 2 to 3 years. Either way, if I can get my pain tolerance up, I will probably do it again. But for right now, 3 weeks after the second appointment, I'm really happy with the results. I hope that my documenting and sharing my lip blushing journey is helpful to you as you're deciding if this is something that is right for you, or maybe it isn't. Either way, you now have a little bit more information to make the best decision that's best for you. Well, that does it for me, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.